I've lived in Australia for 2 years, I'm married an Aussie, and I still get caught off guard by this place. So I've taken a walk over to the Aussie Reddit thread called AskAnAustralian, where people ask Australians to explain themselves. Let's see what I've been missing out. As a French woman who visited Australia for 3 weeks, are these culture shocks accurate? I love a bit of culture shock, you know me. I'd like to share a few culture shocks I experienced from my personal point of view. In Australia, people smiled at me, made comments and started conversations without hesitation. In France, I'm used to strangers avoiding eye contact. I completely agree with that. I've been to France a few times in my life and I've noticed that people in France, they avoid stranger interaction as much as possible. And in the UK, we're kind of like a mix between French and Aussies. But yeah, I've experienced this myself coming to Australia and, you know, strangers making convo with you in the elevator where you can't escape. I like it, so it's all good. But if you're very introverted, it will probably be a culture shock at first. I think it's very lovely. I felt noticeably safer. I didn't constantly check my bag or surroundings. In France, especially in Paris, theft is more common. It took me a very long time to shake the holding onto my phone because of the phone snatchings that we have in London, and you don't really leave that behind. You always triple check your locks at night for your house. You make sure your bag is always in front of you at all times on public transport. But in Brisbane, it's noticeably safer. The relaxed attitude toward time, things feel less rushed, and being a little late doesn't carry the same stress as in France. I love this. This is so true. Us Brits as well, we are super stressed about time for absolutely no reason. And one of the things that make Australia feel like a holiday isn't the sunshine and the beaches, it's that people don't rush you. It's like, yeah, should we just hop in the car? We'll go out for a coffee. Maybe we'll, visit the shops and we'll come back and we do whatever we want for the day. That's the vibe every day. It's like you're on holiday. And it's wonderful. Beaches were absolutely beautiful, clean, wide, and natural beaches in Australia feel open and peaceful. 100%. There's so many volunteers and organisations that do beach cleanups, and it's wonderful. And I think Australia has a general underlying rule of just don't ever litter on the beaches. If someone saw you do that, I think people would be outraged. I noticed less history and art. Australia is a young country, while in France, almost every street has history and culture. I'm not sure if I fully agree with that one. I think walking around Brisbane, there's actually a lot of history. There's plaques around, there's statues, there's some incredible art museums like the Modern Gallery in Brisbane. But yeah, compared to France, I can't really disagree with that. France has insane history. I noticed women dress very freely in Australia. Very short shorts and low cut tops are normal and accepted, while in France, people are more likely to judge what feels appropriate for the street. That's interesting. I do feel like the French put more effort into their fashion, and by the sounds of it, that's not just a stereotype. Whenever I visit France, the locals always seem immaculately dressed and I'm like, fair play. But in the UK, we're a bit casual as well, unless you're going to work where people would judge you a bit more. However, my wife Maddie has actually made an observation every time we're in Cheltenham during summer. She's like, Brits don't know how to dress for summer. We either wear too little or too much. So, and if you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit that like button. Otherwise, I'm telling everyone that your favourite beer is Foster's. Back to it. Why do Aussies talk to strangers so easily, and is it actually genuine? I have been living in Australia for a while now, and something still catches me off guard almost every day. Random people talk to you. At the servo, at the beach, in the lift, waiting for a coffee. It is never deep, but it is constant. A comment about the weather, a joke about the line taking forever, a quick chat that ends with no names exchanged, and everyone moving on. So true. Back home, this would feel strange or forced. Here it feels normal, sometimes even expected. I've had full conversations with people I will never see again, and somehow it does not feel awkward, it feels easy. What I cannot figure out is whether this is just politeness or if Australians actually enjoy these small interactions. Is it about being friendly or just filling the silence? Do people genuinely care, or is it more of a social flex? I also noticed that it does not usually turn into anything more. You laugh, you nod, you go on with your day, no pressure, no follow-up. That's one thing I've noticed. If you're in CBD of Brisbane, I wouldn't say strangers really come up to you that much, not unless they need something. Whereas you get into the suburbs, right? And yes, people do seem more open to talk and chat to you. Elevators, waiting in line, but it doesn't feel forced. When Brits start a conversation, when you're strangers, it does feel forced. It does feel just to fill the silence, because British people get very awkward in silence, I must say. What is this? Aussies who eat dinner at 7:30 p.m. Why do you like making people starve? this is true. As a British person who came from parents who would very often eat dinner at 8 to 9 p.m, Aussies, they are eating dinner at 6 p.m. For me, that's just a bit too early, I find, unless I haven't had lunch that day. Yeah, sometimes when my in-laws come over for dinner and I've been working a little late and I'm cooking dinner at 7, I do feel a little bit bad because I'm like, oh, I hope they're not too hungry. It's one of those thoughts I'd have. But when it's with my British parents, not even worried. I'd probably serve dinner at 7:30 p.m. They'd be like, I can't eat that now. It's way too early. Someone said, fair point. Another question. Why in many Australian cities and towns can't I get anything to eat after 8 p.m? Don't change the point, mate. That frustrates me, actually. So many restaurants, especially, it's a very European thing. Can I call myself European still? As a Brit? I don't know. All of our restaurants, the kitchen won't be shutting until 9 or 10, even on a weeknight. So yeah, I don't like it when I've been working until like 7 p.m. and then I want to go out for dinner and everywhere's shut. That was a big culture shock for my parents when they came to visit. Someone said, because we're in bed, is it rude to not use the aircon when hosting Christmas? I'm gonna say right now, as someone who suffers in Brisbane summer, yes, it absolutely is. Obviously, if you're struggling to pay your electricity bill or something like that, fair. That is so fair. What I mean, if you can afford it and you're the one hosting Christmas, keep your friends and family cool. As you know, Christmas gets hot. We were at the grandparents' house. Our grandparents never liked putting the aircon on. We were at the grandparents' house and all of us were dying from the heat. Everyone kept talking about how hot it was. Their daughter tried talking to them, but no luck. After hours of suffering, I started to feel ill because of the heat. Eventually someone turned it on without the host's permission. Sweet relief. I regret not just asking the host myself, but I don't know these people very well, and they had already said no to their daughter. So I was thinking about leaving early instead of making a fuss. Was this poor hostmanship? Hostmanship. Okay, learn how to read, Sam. Somebody said absolutely poor hosting behaviour. Yes! I love it when my opinion is validated by, I'm assuming, an Aussie. Don't know. Could be wrong. Original poster should have just left. Why make yourself sick? I mean, so true. If you're starting to get heat stroke, please leave, or get the cold electrolytes into your body. That's not fair on you. By the way, I also have a Patreon where there is a full-length uncut version of this. So if you fancy checking that out, there's a link in the top of the description below. Oh, someone said, why are GP receptionists so rude? Before I read this is a running joke and stereotype in the UK. Thankfully, my doctor in Cheltenham and the staff there are lovely. Realizing it's not a stereotype, but legitimately true, why are all GP receptionists in this country miserable and rude? They treat you like a criminal for existing. Someone said, I used to be a receptionist at the GP clinic, and I can confirm it's not just a stereotype. I only lasted about 3 months because I couldn't stand how horrible my colleagues were to the patients. It was so strange. They were nice people outside of work, but they always felt like they had to be as nasty as possible to anyone that approached the desk. It was an awful place to work. Why is that? That's really strange. I've only been to the doctors once in Australia, and my experience with the receptionist there was absolutely fine. I didn't come away from it being like, oh, they were delightful, but I also didn't think they were horrible. We probably shouldn't blanket statement say all GP receptionists are not nice in Australia, because I'm sure I know it's not true from my own experience, but it is sad to hear that so many people have that experience, especially if you're feeling poorly, especially if you're literally dying from something. Somebody said GP here and all our reception staff are lovely to patients, but I understand the stereotype. That said, the reception staff unfairly cop a lot of abuse and filter out a lot for us. I was thinking that there's always signs at the doctors, both in Australia and the UK, that says we don't tolerate abuse here. So many patients will get mad at reception for something that is out of their control. Wait times, billings, correspondence, appointment issues, and I'm assuming that's also heightened because if they think they've got a serious illness or something, minor inconveniences then are going to feel massive to them. Obviously not defending those people at all, but then the nastiness comes out, and then I guess receptionists have to put on that icy front to sort of keep going, I guess. Then we'll just smile and not mention any of this when it comes to seeing us. Reception is a fairly thankless job. Yeah, I couldn't do it myself. Can I be honest for a second? One of the things that actually hit me when I first moved here is how egalitarian Aussies seem to be. Back home there's this invisible rule book all about who deserves respect depending on what school you went to, who you are, what job you work in, silly things like that. I didn't even realise how much of that I've absorbed growing up in the UK until I moved to Australia and my mind was blown. I suddenly saw my home country for what it really was. And people will look you in the eye here, they'll call you their mate and they'll mean it. And it doesn't matter if you're a scaffolder, a super surgeon, or you're an actor who makes silly little YouTube videos like these. You know they mean it. And something about that has gently changed how I carry myself, especially when I'm visiting back in the UK. Oh, here we go, this'll be good. Someone said, what's the best Australianism you've ever heard whilst overseas? Let me have a go. My one would be, I didn't come here to spiders. You all know what word goes there, but this is a family-friendly channel. Is it still after that? I don't know. They said, I'll go first. Coming home from living in the UK for over 4 years. Oh, so they're not British. Okay, I understand now. Sorry, that took a second. Traveling to over 40 countries in that time. 40? You travelled to 40 countries in 4 years? Most of my friends came and left in that time on travel visas. Then I found myself in a really unhappy relationship with the Brit, where most of my remaining friends were our mutual work friends, his mates or his family. Oh, that's awkward. Felt suddenly super lonely and decided to book Qantas and move back home. Fair. I'd been back twice for weddings and always flew Singapore. Amazing. I love Singapore Airlines. Having the layover in Singapore with the butterfly garden. Oh my word, I love that place. I felt homesick, so I flew Qantas. OMG, after all those cheap Euro airlines and people clap so weird. Oh my gosh. I've mentioned this before. Yeah, why do we clap? Why do British people clap at the end of a European flight? It is the weirdest thing. Some people have said in the comments before, what if, there was like awful turbulence or it was a really dangerous flight or something and the pilots got you there to safety, you clap to appreciate them? Yes, of course, obviously. But what I'm talking about is it'll be the tamest flight, Bristol to Mallorca, right? 2 hours, and Brits who are already tipsy from their like 5 a.m. beers at the airport are clapping just because they're excited for their holiday. It's not to thank the pilot. Anyway, as we landed into Perth, it was me, 28-year-old female, a spare seat, and then a businessman. Pilot goes in the most glorious Aussie drawl. Hi everyone, it's your captain speaking. I just want to tell you it's a beautiful day in Perth, currently 28 degrees and no wind. Should touch down on time. And yeah. What? And yeah. Everyone laughed and I actually got teary and touched my businessman on the arm with tears. Bless him, he just covered my hand with his and patted it. My fave homesick story. Edit, just to say this has been so awesome to read everyone's stories. I'm still making my way through them and then some trigger other memories of a great time. Thank you everyone, I love Australia. Oh, that is quite sweet actually. I do feel like Aussies are far more patriotic than us Brits and there's far more of a positive, optimistic outlook on life from Aussies. They just appreciate home a lot more than Brits do. And I do find that I really appreciate the UK. I used to be a little bit like that after having a 2-week holiday in Spain. And do you know what? I would absolutely be so excited for the plane to land in Bristol or Gatwick and it to be grey and rainy and cold, even though it was August. And I absolutely loved it because the grey, rainy, cold is home to me. That's the UK. And I felt very grateful towards it. And all my family, my parents and my brothers would think I was a right weirdo. And I do think that us Brits, we have so much in the UK and we're just so ungrateful for it. We can be so ungrateful, but Australians, they know how to sort of grab life by the horns and appreciate everything they have. And too right, because this country is paradise. Oh, is it true that Australians eat kangaroo? Yes, it is, mate. And I'm very sad about it, right? Poor little things, they're beautiful creatures. I came to Australia thinking I'd fit in because I married one and also we speak the same language. But having a look at this Reddit thread has shown me I've only just scratched the surface, but I've actually learned a lot more than I realised, which is honestly one of the best things about living here. It is an adventure. Build your adventure, pick up the merch. Anyway, if you want to keep the adventure going, go watch this video here, click it now. It's all about the 10 lies us Brits are told about Australians. I was absolutely shocked. I'll see you in the next one.